The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Fahim, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks. Good Sunday morning. It's gloomy and rainy out there. This is the Lightning Strike on WCPT. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim. Joining me today is Dr. Sheila White.
Good morning, Chicago.
And Dali Silverberg.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Dali. So good to see you back on the air with us. So, folks, on this final show of the year 2025, before I go further, I just want to make a quick announcement that my co-host and co-starter with the show, Ken DeLuke, passed away last night after a brief illness. So please say a prayer for Ken. We're going to be missing him. He's been off the air with us for about a couple of months now, trying to recover from a brief illness. But we got great memories of Ken. And I am going to see if I can put together a short montage of Ken in the coming weeks or so, and then play it back for you guys. But on this final show of the year, folks, I want to focus on 8 different topics to wind up 2025. Not to overwhelm you, but to connect the dots. Because when you step back and look at what's happened over the last year, one thing becomes clear. This has been a year of instability, political, moral, and institutional. And none of it is random. And that is something that should concern all of us. So we look at foreign policy and power without guardrails. Let's start off with that. Let's start overseas and offshore, okay? Earlier this year, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth authorized strikes on boats in the Caribbean, actions that legal experts and members of Congress have called unlawful and unauthorized. These actions escalated tensions with Venezuela, raising serious concerns about the U.S. drifting towards conflict without congressional approval or public debate, and straight-out lies that these boats were bringing in narcotics into the United States. Come on, 2,000 miles away? That was not true. We know that now, because now we're going after the Venezuelan oil and they want to have regime change, or we want to have regime change over there. At the same time now, reporting has revealed that wealthy tech executives, the so-called tech bros, were effectively buying high-ranking positions in the U.S. Army Reserve, bypassing traditional service and accountability. If that does not alarm you, it should. Because when money buys military rank, democracy is already in trouble, and we know that. Let's look at number 2. A year of authoritarian signals at home. In January, President Trump attempted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and then barred journalists from the Oval Office. They refused to use that name. That's not branding, folks. That's coercion. By February, June, and October, something else happened, something historic. An estimated 7 million Americans took part in anti-King protests across the country. I was one of them, and Dali, you were one of them too, right?
Yeah, I volunteered, or I went to my small town in Mount Vernon. Yeah.
Yep. So not just in one city, everywhere. People protesting immigration raids, tariffs, corruption, authoritarian behavior. 7 million people don't protest unless something is deeply wrong. In February, the world watched as Trump and J.D. Vance berated Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in the Oval Office, humiliating an ally fighting for survival. Then in March, ICE arrested Mahmoud Khalil, a lawfully admitted permanent resident, for helping lead protests at Columbia University against Israel's war in Gaza. Let that sink in. Legal resident, political speech, arrested anyway. That is a line that democracies do not cross lightly. By June, the Trump-Elon Musk alliance collapsed in public. We saw what happened over there, exposing a power struggle between two men used to getting everything they want, and neither accountable to voters. That same month, Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hartman and her husband were murdered in what authorities described as a politically motivated killing. The suspect, a 57-year-old Trump supporter, is alleged to have targeted her for political reasons. And shortly afterwards, conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was murdered. Before facts were established, President Trump immediately blamed Democrats and progressives. Division first, truth later, if at all. By October and November, the federal government shut down after Republicans ended enhanced ACA tax credits and cut Medicaid and Medicare while making tax cuts for the wealthy permanent. Healthcare stripped, wealth protected. And still, the Epstein files remain undisclosed till they had to come up with an act and law in Congress forcing the Attorney General to release those things in the Department of Justice. So the Department of Justice continues to withhold full release, and suddenly they come up last week with, oh, there's 1 million more documents. Ask yourself why. Then in November, voters sent another message. Zohran Mamdani won a landslide victory in New York's mayoral race, rejecting fear politics and choosing solidarity instead. A couple of weeks back, I spoke about Doge and what happened with Doge, but let me recap. Earlier this year, Trump appointed Elon Musk to run an extra constitutional agency called the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, sure, Doge. No congressional authorization, no oversight. Thousands of federal employees were fired. Funding to the Department of Education was frozen. U.S. aid was dismantled. The result, according to humanitarian groups, thousands of children and adults in Africa died from starvation and preventable disease because food and medicine never arrived. They were sitting in warehouses over here and around the world, not delivered. That's not efficiency, folks. That's cruelty disguised as mismanagement, or like they want to call it, management. In April, Trump declared what he called Liberation Day, slapping massive new tariffs on imported goods. He promised trillions in revenue. What Americans got instead was higher prices, higher inflation, and more pressure on working families. Let's look at number 4 on my list. I'm sorry, my rant is going to be a little bit long today, Sheila, but I want to cover up a lot of stuff that is happening, okay?
There's a lot of things happening.
I'm telling you. So in April, Pope Francis passed away. He was succeeded by Robert Prevost, a 69-year-old Chicago-born cardinal who took the name Pope Leo XIV, a reminder that even ancient institutions can change leadership with dignity. Contrast that with politics over here. Let's look at some other bad news that happened last year. Deaths that shook our culture. This year, we lost cultural giants. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, Sly Stone, Ozzy Osbourne, all gone to natural causes. But America was also shocked when actor and director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were murdered, allegedly by their mentally ill son. A tragedy underscoring how badly we fail mental health in this country. Number 6 on my list, and I promise I'll finish off on number 8, nature, neglect, and consequences. In January, wildfires in California's Palisades and Eaton areas killed 28 people and destroyed 16,000 structures. We all see what's happening in California right now, right? In March and May, tornadoes and floods killed 67 people across Kentucky, Missouri, and Virginia. In July, flash floods along the Guadalupe River in Texas killed 135 people, including girls at a summer camp. We all remember those visuals, folks. Experts say cuts to the National Weather Service left offices understaffed, delaying warnings that might have saved lives. Yeah, mismanagement again. Okay. Who do we blame for this? I think we need to blame ourselves for failing to elect the right people. Number 7 on my list is aviation and infrastructure failures. Over Washington, D.C., an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines flight, killing 67 people. Reports point to FAA staffing cuts as a contributing factor. Again, consequences. Number 8, finally, violence, radicalization, and state power. This year also brought horrifying acts of violence. January, a truck attack in New Orleans killed 14 people. July, a gunman with suspected CTE killed 4 people in Manhattan building housing NFL offices. In August, a shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school killed 2 children. September, a former Marine attacked a Michigan church. December, mass shooting at Brown University killed students and an MIT professor before the shooter died by suicide. And from May to today, ICE raids have terrorized communities in Los Angeles, Chicago, and beyond, seizing people without warrants, separating families, violating due process, and using violence with little accountability. And as if all that weren't enough, President Trump wants to rename the Kennedy Center after himself and renaming federal buildings and spend the year publicly attacking journalists, especially women by name, calling them all kinds of, I don't even want to use those words, Sheila. This is in chaos. It is authoritarianism by accumulation. Small abuses, then bigger ones, until people stop recognizing the country they live in.
Mm.
Okay, let me end this today, folks. This is our country. We need to take it back, okay? And there's nothing that is more important for us than taking our country back. The question isn't whether this is sustainable. It's whether we are willing to name what's happening and whether we are willing to stop it. This is the Lightning Strike on WCPT. Stay with us. We'll take a quick break and come back on the other side of the break with our Person of the Week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can always go back to our website. We're going to be posting all our shows over there, which is www.tlsradio.com, or you could visit YouTube and look at our YouTube page also. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back on the other side of the break. Okay, so while we are taking the break, I want to bring in our Person of the Week. We also have
residential and commercial property owners.
Okay,
If
hold
you're
on
like
just
me,
one
you're
second.
sick and
Let's
tired of
go
paying
to the
high
break.
electric bills, which, by the way,
Do you want the station muted? I think I can.
No,
the
go
federal,
ahead.
state, and utility incentives that you
All right.
qualify for. Take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down this number, 630-785-0031. Again, 630-785-0031. Give Greenlight a call for a no-cost, no-obligation energy assessment, and we'll show you which federal, state, and utility incentives you qualify for. Again, 630-785-0031. Give us a call, 630-785-0031.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Lightning Strike. We have got our Person of the Week lined up. We also have a guest joining us, and we'll bring her on shortly. Sabah Heather is joining us. Good morning, Sabah. Thank you for tuning in.
Good morning, Fahim. How are you?
I'm good. So we are running a little bit late because my rant ran a little bit over today because I was trying to bring in everything that happened in the last 12 months over here in our country, all kinds of policies and stuff, and the mess that we are in. So we ran a little bit over. So if you don't mind, please stay on with us. So while we finish our segment with our person of the week. Dr. White, go ahead, please.
I just want to say something about the year of instability. It has been crazy. Power without guardrails, Muhammad. You were so right. Unchecked authority that leads to potential corruption, abuse, security, risk, bias, and erosion of trust, transparency in laws that ignored that allows impulsive, harmful actions that has been going on all year. Individuals are just doing things without accountability within our government. Ethical boundaries are just seem like they're just erased. There are risks to power without guardrails. And so I want to thank you for that rant because it's an awakening to what's been happening this year in review. And coming into an election time, we have to be so conscious of the choices that we make. And so I'm so glad that we have Ms. Saba on today. And I know she's going to bring us some good news and some sunshine
Okay.
in the midst of all of this things that are going on. But our person of the week is Miss Betty Howard, and she is a person that is passionate about caring for people, the opposite of the guardrails, the opposite of power without guardrails. She is a senior caregiver. She's helping older individuals maintain their independence in a time where dignity and health laws are just seem like being erased by this current administration. She assists with the daily activities as bathing and medications, providing very crucial companionship to fight loneliness. A lot of seniors are just by themselves and they're feeling hopeless now, veterans as well. But she helps to maintain a complex, care needs. She's an advocate for seniors in different areas, and she helps with offering family support and ultimately enabling seniors to be able to live safely in their homes. This is a person that's passionate about our seniors, and she does this with love, care, and grace. I would like to just welcome Miss Betty Howard, who is a senior home care specialist. Welcome to the Lightning Strike, Miss Howard, this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Sheila White. I am really honored to be on this program today because this care is so needed, in the homes today, because institutionalization is diminishing, and people want to, and I'm an advocate of extended life. And,
Yes.
and extending the life with the dignity and the independence and the self-worth that's needed for our seniors, because a lot of them has been pushed aside, through the with different, the generation that's coming up, they look at the seniors as they're not valuable. They're not valuable anymore. And so my passion came from my mom and my dad. I was instrumental in taking care of them, when they reached their senior age, and allowing them to live it, their life in the fullness, as full as can, in their senior years. My mom had a saying that she wanted her last days to be her best days. And that stuck with me. That's like, okay, that's something that's very, needed in this time. And then in the time of people's lives where they are diminishing. And so my passion is to go into homes, and I've been in this field for over 20 years. And when I go into the homes, I don't go in looking at, well, this is a paycheck or this is a job. It's not a job for me. It's a passion for me. I go into homes with passion. I don't go into homes. I go into homes seeing what I can do to make these people, the people that I take care of, lives better. And filling. And so a lot of places, and every place that I go into, I go in assessing what's needed, not just what I can do. I go in with what's needed, not what's, what is necessary, not just what's needed. So when you look at that, you look at it like, if you go into a home to see what's needed, the basics is needed. What's necessary is the compassion, allowing them to live with independence as long as they can. So I don't do what they can do. I do what they can't do. So I
Mm.
allow them to feel that self-worth. I encourage that. I encourage them to know that, you're still valuable. What you say, what you do, who you are is very valuable. And so I make it something that I look at it like what I would want how I would feel and what I would want somebody to do for me.
That's
And
so awesome, Betty. Thank you for what you're doing. In our culture, we take care of our elders. Okay.
Yes.
It,
Mhm.
you will rarely see an Indian or a Pakistani family putting their elders in a home away
yeah,
from there. We take care of our parents. Simple as that. And that's the culture that we have. But for people, who really need companionship, you're providing an awesome service. Folks, if you want to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. You can also text us at that number. The segment that we call is What's on Your Mind. It's sponsored by Ray Hanania. And you can go to Ray's website, Hanania, HANANIA.com, to follow what he is doing in the media space. Sheila, please continue.
Yeah, I just wanted just to say that, caregivers have a multifaceted role. They're just not offering daily support only, and the mental management and health management, but they're providing companionship. A lot of seniors are in their home. Their family does not have an opportunity to visit them, from different generations, their responsibilities. So the companionship is very important. They may have had a spouse that has, passed or something like that. So they're by themselves maintaining their lifestyle, but caregivers are also important because they provide advocacy, which is so needed, even taking them to vote and
Yeah.
other needs that they may have. I know, Ms. Howard, you were just talking a little bit earlier in our last conversation about you taking one of the seniors out to a party for seniors. Tell us a little bit about that experience and how she enjoyed being back in the environment again when she had not been out into an environment like that with other seniors.
Yes, yes. So the lady that, and I call them young ladies, all of them is young to me. I do. And before I address that, let me address what Mohammed just said. You're right, your culture. I took care of a family, an Indian family, for 10 years. And
Mhm.
they were in the home, and they treated me not like a caregiver, but I was family. I was family to them. I'm still connected to that family. And
Mhm.
even when the friends and relatives would come over, I never felt like I was a caregiver. I never felt like I
Mm.
was somebody there, just to help. But I felt, like I was a part of what it is, a part of their lives. And I helped them for 10 years. And I learned a lot about the Indian culture. Now my appetite, I love Indian food. I do. I
Okay.
do.
We'll have to get you, bring you over for dinner one of these days then,
And I
Betty.
would enjoy it. I
Yeah.
promise you I
Sheila,
would.
what I want to do is Reed is not joining us today. He's spending the holidays with his family, and Maria is in Cabo with her family. So
Yes.
I managed to bring Saba in at short notice because we did have some time this morning because of these changes. Betty, would you mind staying on with us and let's bring in Saba to find out what she is doing, and then we can continue the conversation because we do have some time. Adriana, good
Mhm.
morning. Thank you for joining.
Good morning.
What's the weather like where you are?
Right now it's currently raining,
Okay,
so no
Mhm.
snow, but just some rain.
I'll just wait. You'll get the snow tomorrow. So, folks, I want to bring in Saba Haider, who is running for. What are you running for, Saba? I want you to come in and tell our listeners what you're running for.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday week, and I wish you all a very happy new year. What I'm running for is Illinois State Representative in District 84, which is the Naperville, Aurora, Oswego area.
Mm.
Okay, so folks, I have known Saba for quite some time, and we've been friends, and I know what her background is. But Saba, I really want you to talk about what your background is, okay? Who you are, why are you running? I know you, but the people who are listening, we have 150,000 people listening all over the country now. They
Yeah.
don't know who you are. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Sabah Heather. I am a small business owner, a mother, and I currently serve on the DuPage County Board as the commissioner. I moved to this country almost 20 years ago, and when I came here, I was about 22 years of age. And when I came to this country, it was a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck. And when I came here, I thought, this is it. My hustling days are over. I've made it to the best country in the world. My life is set. And as I'm raising my family here, and as you know, Dr. White and Miss Howard was talking about, and Fahim, you mentioned, all of the mess that we are in, all the mucky, difficult conversations that we've been having,
yeah.
not just this year, but for past several years, it made me realize that I have to be more involved, that I have to be more active in my communities. And it started out by being involved in my son's preschool classroom by cutting laminated stuff. And now he's a senior. He's going to go off to college next fall. So it's been a journey of being involved in my local communities, whether it is being a PTA president, whether it is serving on the biggest nonprofit arm of my school district that serves 26,000 students and has raised $5 million since the last several years. My goal has been to serve my communities. My goal has been to be an active advocate and raise my voice for things that we, all of us in this room, albeit online, are passionate about, are ready to fight about. And then when I ran for the DuPage County Board, we were able to flip the seat with a huge margin of votes. We got 40,330 votes, which is a big number for a county
That's
race.
awesome. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we are running for Illinois State Representative position. And I say we because, yes, I'm the one who's sitting in front of you right now, but it truly takes a village to be able to run a campaign, a successful campaign, a grassroots campaign, but also a campaign rooted in integrity and transparency.
Sabah, I like to say, and Sheila knows this, I've said it often enough on the radio, that we say, it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that we are the people. Okay. If we don't step up like what you're stepping up, nothing happens. Okay. So I want to dig a little bit into some of the things that I wanted to discuss about. You did mention a little bit about your roots in this district. How have they shaped your priorities as a candidate?
That's an excellent question, because truly it's important for me to be a voice and to fight for things that the community needs. This isn't about what I feel is important, but this is about what we collectively feel is important. And my service to the communities over the last several years, my work as in the nonprofit realm, whether it is being on the boards of several councils, several boards that are related to diversity, education, public health, all of the work that I have done in my communities with nonprofits, with small businesses, with organizations and different groups have allowed me to be able to truly understand what the needs of the communities are. And I myself, I'm a mom who's raising 2 children in the community here with my husband. My son is 17, my daughter is 13. And she came home the other day, just a few weeks back, and she goes, "Mom, do you know the Supreme Court allows for us to be racially profiled now?"
Huh.
And that ICE agents can racially profile us. I mean, for a 13-year-old to say that to her mother, can you imagine the emotional, the mental burden these children are carrying just because how much access to information they have? And so my job is to make sure that we are fighting for all of these kids that carry this burden, but we do that by staying connected to our communities, by listening to people, by knocking doors. I'm out knocking doors every day, talking to people, telling them about me, building that direct connection, building that line of communication with them so that they can reach out to me and I can reach out to them, and we are able to truly represent all of the constituents in the assembly soon.
Wonderful. Wow. So, folks, this is Sabah Heather. She's joining us on the Lightning Strike today. She is a candidate for the Illinois State Assembly District 84. You can find more information about Sabah on her website, Sabah Haider, HAIDER.com. And she does have a Facebook page also, facebook.com/Sabah, SABADIST 84. And you can definitely make a donation to Sabah's campaign by going to actblue.com/donate Sabah Haider Dist 84. Let's continue the conversation. You've already answered the next question I had, Sabah, but I want to see if Dr. White has a question for you.
Yeah, I so appreciate what you said as far as your children coming to you with these concerns. Transparency is an issue in the country. How do you build trust and support, Saba, among voters who may not share your background or identity? Because there's so much going on, and you talk about ICE. That's an issue. That's an issue. So how do you do that?
You build trust by being truthful and authentic with every interaction you have, whether it is as a volunteer, whether it is as an elected official that I am, and whether as a mother, I have these interactions as a part of the PTA, part of the nonprofits. Truly, trust comes from Dr. White. Suppose when I'm having a conversation with you today, and then I have a conversation with you a month later, but my values are still the same, and I'm still fighting for the same things, and I'm still being truthful to you. And you start to see that pattern. You start to see that, yes, this work is hard. This is work that it can be done only through building consensus. And I think that's one thing that often is ignored in the political realm. People don't realize how important it is for us to build consensus. I am just one of hopefully soon to be the 118 assemblymen in Springfield. So I may have lofty goals, but as long as I am able to build consensus, only then am I able to do anything. Only then am I able to build trust. So the goal is to elect leaders that have the experience of being connected and rooted in their communities, that are qualified, and also that are willing to build consensus, that are collaborators, that are going to build a coalition to get things done, because all alone, one assembly person cannot do anything. And when you start to build consensus, you build trust with your assemblymen, but also with your constituents, because your message is rooted in truth and transparency.
So, Sabah,
it's so important because Aurora is such a diverse community, a large community, a very diverse community, as well as Naperville. So the relationships that you build is so important there. I just want to ask you a question about local labor unions and party organizations and community leaders. How will you work with them to help get the message out and to, if elected, to share the goals that you have?
Yes, that's an excellent question. Oftentimes, people decide that they are going to run and then build those connections with labor leaders, with party organizations, with local elected officials. My journey is the other way around. My journey is by helping other candidates first run for office. My journey is about being part of the party for several years, by knocking doors for other candidates, by helping other elected officials get elected in my area, by having that relationship with my labor leaders when, for example, in Naperville, when the responsible bidder ordinance was on the agenda, I was not an elected official, yet I showed up during the city council meeting to show solidarity towards my labor leaders. I was there in the room, shoulder to shoulder, fighting for my communities to do what's right. So this isn't that suddenly I've decided I'm going to get up and run for state rep, and I have to build those relationships. It's the other way around, actually. I've been building these relationships for a very long period of time, and I'm really fortunate that leaders in my communities, labor leaders, elected officials, community leaders, they see the work and they are supporting me and my candidacy to run for office.
Sabah, you brought up something very, very interesting. And this is something that I have been talking about for a long time. Just don't get up and try to run for office, go out and ask people for money and waste those resources when you have not done your homework when you have not put in a strong foundation to represent the community. I see a lot of candidates who are just going by saying, identifying themselves with communities and religions and saying, I want to run for this office and I want to run for that office. Yeah, get your act together. Put in your foundation first before you run for office. I'm so glad that you're doing it. That's why we have you on the air today. What district-specific issue do you think Springfield gets wrong? And what would you do differently when elected?
So when we look at the assembly, we look at the assembly as a whole. We see the state of Illinois as a whole. But I think, Brother Fahim, this is a really good question. Like, what district-specific issues do we really want to focus on? But as Dr. White just said, that even Aurora and Naperville, these are really diverse communities. So how do we make sure that Springfield gets it right is by making sure that we elect leaders that are rooted in their communities, that understand what the community needs, and be loud and vocal about those issues in Springfield. Because what the needs of District 84 are may not be the same as the neighboring District 41, for example, or District 75, for example, or District 97, for example. These needs are going to be different. So how do I best represent my constituents in the assembly is by staying connected to my communities deeply, showing up to events, showing up to community, wherever the community is showing up, being at the doors, and really fulfilling my job as a commissioner, as the county commissioner well, which I have been doing over the last several months. And so once I'm able to do that, then once I understand what my community needs, which is strong schools, which is making sure every student, every family in our communities feel welcome and celebrated, which is being able to afford my day-to-day things. We are all struggling, no matter what socioeconomic strata we come from, we're all struggling. And affordability is something that we really have to be loud about it. We really have to be vocal about saying this is unacceptable that these corporations are making record profits, and yet we are paying the most price we have ever paid for eggs and milk. That's just unacceptable.
Yep, our president seems to think otherwise. Our president seems to think that the economy is doing great. There is no affordability crisis. This guy has never stepped out to go and buy some groceries somewhere, so he has no idea. And he's mentally incapable of even understanding what a common person is going through. I want to finish off with a couple of other quick questions for you. Usually we have Reed Bible joining us at about 8:40, but like I said, Reed is out on vacation with his family, so we get to spend some time with you. Can you share an example of balancing competing interest within a community and how you handled it? I'm putting you on the spot with this question. Okay.
I feel fortunate that for me, there have been several incidences like that, especially on the county board, serving as the commissioner, where I feel torn, where I feel that this isn't really the mainstream mindset, but truly deep inside, I feel like that's the right thing to do.
Okay.
And those days have been really hard because oftentimes people are passionate about things, and I would receive hundreds of emails. And I have to read through those hundreds of emails to really understand what my community really wants. And as I do that, I start to see that there is some consensus here. Yes, it's a polarizing discussion, for example, but even with a polarizing discussion, you start to realize that the goal is to make sure that everyone in our communities feel welcome and included, that everyone's voice is heard. And it requires a lot of reading, it requires a lot of research, it requires a lot of working with community leaders and the staff, because the staff is the one that's really into, the deep weeds of things, and then deciding and making a decision based on the information that you get from your staff, from your community, from the community leaders, and then making a decision rooted in empathy, rooted in doing what's right.
So, Sabah, how long is a Senate position for? How many years once you get elected?
So state reps, they get elected every 2 years.
Right.
So if I get elected, then the term starts in 2026 and it'll be up for re-election in 2028.
Okay, so how will you stay accountable and accessible to constituents once you are in office? Do you have a plan for that?
Yes, so there are several ways to do that. One is to have a physical, actual office location that allows for people to come in and out. And a lot of the state reps, they have different hours, they have different accessibility when people can come in. My goal is to be able to keep those hours as wide as we possibly can, given whatever budget restraints we may have, to be open physically for people to just come in and walk in, and not just to walk in and come in to complain, but also to learn and connect. How do we create these offices to become a center of education and resource dissemination? I think that's really important as well, because oftentimes the community doesn't know that there are all these resources that are available that my government is funding and supporting, that I can access and help myself and give myself a little bit of that lift and boost, whether it comes to my family, my children, my gas, my bills, all of that stuff. So my goal is to be able to do that, but also we are really active right now as a campaign on social media, and we hope to be really active once we get elected as well.
Awesome. So, folks, our guest today has been Sabah Haider. She was elected to the DuPage County Board as commissioner in November 2024. With over 40,000 votes, Sabah made history as the first Indian American ever to be elected to the DuPage County Board in its 200-year history. Sabah is a small business owner, a public servant, a community advocate. She serves on key county committees, including strategic planning. She's the chair of that. Environmental Committee, she's the chair of that. Ad hoc Housing Solutions, she's the co-chair. Economic Development, Finance, and Judicial and Public Safety. Sabah also serves on the Public Health Board of the DuPage County Health Department. She's the director of IPEF, Indian Prairie Educational Foundation, the nonprofit arm of School District 204. Sabah is also the chairperson and co-founder of Will and DuPage County's Democratic AAPI caucus, and she is running for the Illinois State Assembly. You cannot have a better candidate than Sabah for District 84. Folks, Sabah, thank you so much for joining us.
Fahim, it's a pleasure and honor to be with all of you today this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. White. Thank you, Ms. Howard. I hear you say you take seniors out to go have fun.
Yes.
I hope you go out, you take them out to go vote as well. Those are reliable voters.
Absolutely.
And it's been an honor, everyone. Thank you so much, Dolly, Adriana. It's a pleasure to meet you online. And happy holidays, everyone. Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We do have a caller calling in with a comment that he wants to make. Mike wants to talk about a bill that Representative Kifowitz put forward. Good morning, Mike. You're on the lightning strike.
Hi, good morning. I was calling in. I am along to the listener to WCPT, and it's where facts matter. So, of course, it was interesting to hear your previous guest because I know of the incumbent who's there now, who's the state rep, and she sponsored a Senate bill that stopped the Department of Human Services from putting restraints on children. That's how they were transporting them. When they were transporting them, they were children. And it was almost, like child slavery. And she had that done. I wanted to ask the candidate who is on a county level, if they take out this Democrat who has been doing her job, how does that fare in terms of that district having seniority? Because as we know, persons who are incumbents, I have not heard of anything that this woman has done wrong. And so I understand clearly what I heard was that your friend wants to take her job.
Well, Mike,
and I
let
know
me
that
let me let me jump in right there. It's not so much about her wanting to take Representative Kifowitz's job. Representative Kifowitz is actually running for this Comptroller General of the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
So she is not keeping her job that we refer to. She's already trying to move on, and we had her as a guest on the show, say about what 3 weeks back or so, Dr. White. Yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
Rep.
I think
Kifowitz is going to be running, not going to be. She is running for the Comptroller General position for the state of Illinois. Mike, thank you so much for your question, but Sabah, we do need an answer from you on this.
Yes, I think you've already answered the question, Mike. I understand your concern, but as Fahim said, Representative Kifowitz is not rerunning. So the seat is opening up, and that's why I'm running for her seat, because this is an open seat.
Okay, thank you
So
so
the
much again,
district
Mike,
will
for
lose
listening in. Thank you
seniority.
for calling in. Yeah, do keep engaged, Mike. We have the the midterms coming up. We've got to make sure that we send a message, especially to our Democratic Party establishment also. These guys have been taking us for granted for so long, and they are still not getting the message that things are changing. We need new people, new ideas, new blood. It does not matter how old you are, but if you want to bring in new ideas to serve the people, give them a chance. Just don't try to shove people down our throat because you, the party leaders, have made a decision. Get on the ground, figure out what's happening on the ground, and do support new candidates. Sabah, again, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you stayed on because I wasn't sure what question Mike was going to have. And let's go back to Betty. We got about 8 minutes to finish off this segment. Then we have got former Congresswoman Murray Newman would be joining us at 9:15. Adriana is going to come in with her rant at 9:06. And Dali, thank you so much for patiently staying on while we have this discussion, and we will continue the conversation. Maria is not joining us today. Like I said, she is on vacation in Cabo with her family. So the second hour, we are going to be having a lot more fun. Thank you, folks. Betty, good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes. So to continue the conversation that Dr. White was speaking of, as far as me taking the senior out to an event, the person that I'm taking care of has not been out in the community, and trying to get her back into the community is one of the things that I'm doing with her. And so because of COVID, she had the COVID really, did her bad as far as a physical disability. And so now it's like she's trying to get back into society. And so these are the things that I do, even on my own. I don't, it's not part of, what I have been, hired to do. Is something that I choose to do, because I see the need to get the people, and like Ms. Saba just said, Commissioner Saba just said, not only just to get them out in the world as far as with the entertainment, but even to have them realize what is going on in the world, to have them be a part of, knowing that they still have rights, that they can still vote, they can still be a part of what is going on in the community. And so these are the things that I do with the people that I take care of, is to help them to engage and be aware of what's going on around them. I visit different senior centers that, have the seniors, there, and the activities that they're involved in. And so I'm in Des Plaines, and so I research, what's going on. I go and I find out what is it that we can do and how can they, just to keep them connected.
Hey, very quick question over here. In Des Plaines, so you're in Congressional District 6, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you who you're going to vote for, but we got an incumbent that needs to be kicked out. Okay.
Okay.
So I want you to please spread the word, because this guy is so heavily funded by AIPAC and all of those other people.
Okay.
And we have a young man who is challenging him. His name is Joey Rozovich, who is going to be challenging the incumbent in the 6th district. Spread the word. Make sure that people get to see there's going to be a change, that there should be a change. So if you want to stay on for the rest of the show, feel more than welcome. We'd love to have you join the conversation when Murray also comes in. Dali, we are going to push your segment back a little bit. We'll bring you in about 9:30 when Maria's segment used to be. Okay, so we've got about 5 minutes to finish off the hour, this first hour over here. And I want to really give Betty a little bit more time. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, Mohammed, that a lot of seniors, they don't want to lose their homes. They want to stay in their homes. They want to be able to age in place. And it's so important for them to have to enable them to have their independence. And individuals like Betty that does this for a passion. When you have a passion, it's not about the paycheck. It's about really taking care of individual seniors. And they're so important. And she often talks about the stories that they have. There's so many rich stories that these seniors have of what they used to do and how they used to live and how they used to engage in community. And I think that's so important as well, because she's allowing them to age in place, to have the independence. And so, Betty, I just want you to talk a little bit about how caregivers need support from the family members. It's not just about taking care of that senior, but talk a little bit about the importance of the families supporting the caregivers as well.
Exactly. That's a good question, a topic, because being a caregiver, you're not just there for the senior. You're also interacting with the family, and you're keeping the family informed of what's going on a daily basis, whether it be improvement or declining. And so that's very important to be connected with the family so that they'll know what support is needed and where they can step in, because we can only, as caregivers, we can only do so much, because we're limited to what we can do as far as making decisions for the seniors, for their parents. And so that's why it's very important for seniors to, for the caregiver to be directly connected with the family. And for me, I have such a passion for this that I want to even teach other caregivers, help other caregivers to know how to, maneuver and how to, care for the seniors, because it can be challenging. Let me put it that way. It can be challenging for people because of the different stages that they're going through mentally, as far as physically as well. And so that's very important that, we keep connected as caregivers. We stay connected, with the family as well, because the family is dependent on a lot on us,
So Betty, a quick question here. If someone wants to get a service like what you are providing, how do people go about signing up for something like that? Is that through an insurance company, through the doctor? How do people get a service like
agencies? It's agencies, and I'm glad you asked, because it's agencies that's out there that they can go to it's different agencies out there. But my passion now is even being extended, because I'm in the process of starting my business as far as being a caregiver, teacher, and having different presenting different things, services, because it's not across the board. Some seniors may need just to be able to transportation, and so they may just need transportation. They may not be at a state where they need a caregiver to come into their home, but they're no longer able to drive, and so they just may need transportation, back and forth to doctor's offices or back and forth to centers where they have activities going on. And so that's what I'm working on in 2026, is getting my business, because I'm already established as Betty's Home Care Service, but I want to just expand the services that I can,
Okay, sounds good. We got about 30 seconds to finish off the segment before we go to the top of the hour with NBC News coming in. And folks, that is Betty Howard. And if you need more information about Betty, please send us a message through our website, tlsradio.com. You can always use the contact form over there, and we'll try to connect you with Betty and the services that she's going to be providing. It's coming up on 9 o'clock, and we will wait to hear back from the station if you want to go for the top of the hour, and you'll soon hear that on WCPT while we continue the conversation. And thank you so much for listening in, folks. This is the final show of the year for us. It's not the final show for us. We will be back in 2026 with more great programming for you. And if you want to be a part of what we are doing, feel free to reach out to us. You can also send a message to us offline. The number to call is 312 TLS 8182. So TLS for the lightning strike. And you can always leave us a message or text us. And if you want to send an email, the email is very simple. It is TLS for the lightning strike, TLS 820 AM @gmail.com. You can reach us on that. So it's 9 o'clock, and we're waiting for the station to join us back with their connection to NBC for the top of the hour. Meanwhile, we've got Adriana joining us. Adriana, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so let's get started with what you have to say, Adriana, and we'll say goodbye to Betty. Betty, thank you for joining us. We'll be seeing you hopefully in 2026 as a successful business owner.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Adriana, let's get started on your talk today while we are waiting for NBC. And if you have to take a break in between, we will do that and continue the conversation. Folks, Adriana Alvarez joining us all the way from the other
Northwest
side
Indiana.
of the moon.
Yeah. So, yes, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. And as we can see that a lot of different celebrities, political figures always wish everybody a Merry Christmas, including our president. And with his Truth Social posts. Last week I talked a little bit about how he made what looked like a presidential um walkway of fame, and it had different
Oh
plaques,
boy.
and he decided to change the name, change at least some of them, and they felt like true social posts. They felt very unserious. So I just would like to share with everybody his Christmas post that he had made. So he said, "Merry Christmas to all, including the radical left scum that is doing everything possible to destroy our country, but are failing badly. We no longer have open borders, men and women's sports, transgender for everyone, or weak law enforcement. What we do have is record stock markets and 401ks, lowest crime numbers in decades, no inflation, and yesterday a 4.3 GDP, 2 points better than expected. Tariffs have given us trillions of dollars in growth and prosperity to the strongest national security we've ever had. We are respected again, perhaps like never before. God bless America, President Donald J. Trump." Now, I read that, and there's a lot of different things in there that, besides just the very opening, made me
Adriana, a quick
very,
question. Did you
yes.
throw up or not?
I was about to, yes, because
Okay.
you read this, and then you see every other politician, celebrity figure that just says Merry Christmas to everyone, and they don't hate on anyone, and it's just interesting because even during Christmas, this is what's going on. And then we decided to do a bunch of little things during the holidays, and it's just very interesting. And I love when, especially when Republicans like to say that Democrats or anybody that isn't on their side says transgender for all. I didn't know that that was something that was just like, oh yeah, by the way, here you go, you're transgender now. No, that's not that's not what that is. Also, the fact that he still believes that there's no inflation whatsoever, even though people are paying probably double than what they did last year for groceries. They like to focus on that gas prices are low, but it's the supply and demand that, and the president really doesn't have much say on what gas prices are, but they like to say that it's Trump's doing as to why we have lower gas prices. And also that I didn't know that before Trump 401ks just didn't exist. Like that was very interesting to me. And alongside with that we are respected again as a country. I feel that other countries look at us and they are just for waiting for the bomb to go off. There's something because they look at to see what's happening here and they're wondering how is this being allowed? All of these laws are being broken. There's nothing there's nothing to say, like there's no just in that aspect, alongside with the Epstein files getting very released very slowly. But then you see that
About
the
30 seconds, boss.
Okay.
you see the files that have been released, their software that they use is very inadequate because if you highlighted the whole file, even with the redactions, and pasted them into another document, you were able to see what was in those redactions.
Okay. And that's such a joke. They
Yep.
spend like millions of dollars and millions of man hours redacting stuff.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike
Okay.
with
So
Mohammed Fahim.
okay. Welcome back, folks. You're listening to the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim. We have got Adriana Alvarez talking about President Trump's uh, Merry Christmas message. This guy has got a worm in his brain, or I don't think it's one worm though. Okay. His brain is shot. Okay. So, Adriana, continue.
Yeah, so we were just mentioning how with the Epstein files you were able to see the redactions, and it's funny to me because I see those things and I'm like, yep, somebody's getting fired over that really fast. But alongside with that, there's there's so much going on that is just trying to get swept underneath the rug. And another thing that my last talking point that I'd like to bring up, and this kind of brought into the culture of Gen Z a little bit more. We're seeing, of course, the Turning Point USA organization, and they are hosting different events and all that. And you see Erica Kirk trying to continue on what her husband has built. And they bring in different celebrities and
Yeah.
different iconic figures to their rallies, as well as still trying to hate on the opposing left side. Now, the thing with that, we are seeing a lot of drama between her and another podcaster. I'm trying to think of her name at the moment, but it's just based on the her of if Kirk's death was planned or not. So that
Yeah,
was all
Candace Owens, I
Candace
believe, is
Owens.
who you're
Yes.
trying to
Candace
refer.
There's
Owens,
so
right.
much happening with that.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, it's just it's just a publicity stunt. There's nothing really going to happen with that. But recently what I saw within their the Turning Point events was that they brought on Nicki Minaj to kind of advocate for this organization. Now, Nicki Minaj has been very open about being Republican and all these different things, and this has to be a record that she has lost millions and millions of followers after appearing there. And when her comments saying that boys should just be boys and taking jabs a little bit at the transgender and LGBTQIA plus community, she lost all of her following. People were very angry that she said that because a lot of her fan base is um part of that LGBTQ plus community. So for her to go on and do this, it made a lot of people upset, and she has deactivated all of her socials because of it. And you can th to think that um that's just one celebrity. And if other celebrities did it, it it's a double-edged sword because yes, you should be able to freely talk about your views, your political views, but then if you're feel as if you're attacking people that have supported you for so long, like if there's it's very hard to get into that happy medium aspect of it. And it's not only just to say like, oh, well, some celebrities are very much like more towards the right, more towards the left.
Yep.
It's how do you convey, how do you kind of navigate through that aspect being a celebrity, and as well as for somebody who is not a celebrity and they have to kind of look at it different ways, like if I want to be if I want to have these views but then also I don't want to offend people, like how do I do that? And it's just very interesting to me how all of this has gone down.
Well, the best thing that
Wow.
we can do, especially folks in your generation, Adriana and Dolly, I am too old to even care about Nicki Minaj and what she says. Okay.
I feel like I don't even care at this point. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I saw it and I was like, wait a minute, what is happening here?
Well,
And then it makes me think of other
vote with
celebrities.
your wallet, okay? Vote with your wallet. Just go ahead and disconnect from every social media that these people are on. And when they see that they're losing their supporters by their millions, then that celebrity that they have, quote unquote, is gone. Okay. These guys need to be taught a lesson. Folks, we'll be joining with Congresswoman Marie Newman in about 5 minutes for her segment of Ignore at Your Risk. And Marie is going to be focusing on Fed agencies that are resisting orders and defying Musk and Trump. Very interesting. The latest judicial wins by supporters of democracy. ICE is secretly tens of millions of dollars in surveillance equipment they're spending. And she's also going to talk about, China and IS relations to fracture further. So going to be a very, very interesting conversation with Marie. Marie should be joining us in about 4 minutes. You're tuned in to The Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim, with the final show for the year. I did start off with a rant, and if you have missed my rant, you're welcome to go back to our website and check it out, tlsradio.com. We'll be posting it shortly. By about tomorrow, we should have it on the website and our YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube and put an @ symbol there, TLS Radio. You'll find about 140 plus segments that we have uploaded so far. Adriana and Dolly are going to be working on getting some social media aspects out of it. So you'll have small Instagram posts and all of that you can also watch. I like to say this and I want to repeat it again, folks. It is our country. It is not their country. Okay. Just because someone has been elected to office does not mean that they own our country. It's our country. Let's take it back. If you want to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. You can also text us at that number, 773-763-9278. So easy numbers to remember for WCPT. And one of the things that I want you to leave you with us on this final show, again, I'm very sorry that our co-host Ken DeLuke passed away last night after a brief illness. And I was fortunate enough to visit with Ken on Christmas Day. He kept on asking for me, Sheila. His sister texted me multiple times. Ken is asking for you. Ken is asking for you. Even the day that I went to visit with him, he was anxiously waiting for me to come. And he kept on saying, is Mohammed here? Is Mohammed here? And I was probably the last person that he recognized. I went and met him, gave him a hug. And he was so excited. He's like, have you come to take me home? Yep. Angels had come to take him home. And I'm glad that Ken has found some peace. And hopefully he's reunited with his loved ones in a better place. So he was really going through a bad time. I feel bad for him, but I'm also glad that his suffering is over. So Ken DeLuke is no longer with us, folks. And I know that Ken was in touch with both you and Dolly, Adriana. And even, he used to text you guys, call you guys up. And I kept on saying, don't let him bother you, focus on your studies. I feel bad about that now. Okay. It's just one of those things. So if you know somebody, if you love somebody, don't wait to reunite with them. Don't wait to go and give them a hug, folks. Life is too uncertain. It's too unpredictable. Don't hold anything from anybody. Okay. Even if you don't like someone, get over it. Get over it. Life is too short for regrets. And that note, we got about 1 minute. Adriana, you want to finish off your rant?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
looking at all of these things that are happening right now in the world of politics, it's very interesting as well as to see, especially within my generation, and what people's views are and how they can change. Because especially going throughout college and meeting so many different people of so many different demographics, it is kind of eye-opening because growing up, you're gonna have a viewpoint that either your family and parents have instilled into you, and or you go against it entirely, and or you pick and choose from different things. So looking at that and seeing how others think and where their background comes from and their culture comes from. I find it just very fascinating. And it's also, I like having conversations with people who do not agree with me. And I like to see their perspective alongside with mine and see if we can find an even ground. Because there are going to be those individuals that completely disagree with you no matter what and don't want to hear anything that you have to say. And then there are going to be some of the individuals like, okay, I don't agree with you and I know you don't agree with me, but let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. And I have been having a lot of those conversations more recently than I would think to have with people. And it's one of those where, yes, of course, depending on the situation, you're going to want to say, I don't even want to listen. I don't want to talk to you. I would just want to shut it all out. But then there are other times where it's like, I need to understand how you view this so that way moving forward throughout life you can see how other people view it. And I think that's just one aspect of becoming more aware of politics and more aware of what is happening in the world.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a sponge where you have to absorb all of the knowledge, and it's just kind of cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, Murray is running a little bit late, so while we are waiting for Murray, let's continue the conversation. Oh, there she is. She's just popping up.
Mhm.
And remember one thing, okay? Whatever that you do it to the best of your ability, okay?
Yeah.
And don't be proud of who you are. There are people who are much better than you, and surround yourself with those people and learn from them. Good morning, Murray.
Good morning.
Yep. So I was just saying that you're running a little bit late,
Sorry
but
about that.
I know.
It was too much holiday.
It's too much holiday spirit over here. And Maria is actually not going to be joining us today. She is in Cabo with her family.
Oh my gosh, lovely. Well,
Okay.
should not be, absolutely do not join us if you're in Cabo. You have no business.
Okay.
Oh,
And
Lord.
Reed is also on vacation with his family. So we had Sabah Haider as our candidate today in the first hour. Sabah is running for Illinois State Senate, District 84. Excellent background. And she is, because Rep. Kifowitz is not running for that seat. Kifowitz is running for the state comptroller, as we know.
That's
She's
right.
just on the
Yeah.
show with us. So,
Yeah.
Murray, Fed agencies are resisting orders and defying Musk and Trump. Let's get started with that.
I know, right? Some good news.
Okay.
So first of all, thank you and welcome to Ignore at Your Risk. And the stories I'm looking at this week, I think we have a really good news report. I hate to say it to doomsayers, but we've got some good news.
Okay.
So the resistance isn't just democracy lovers anymore. There are folks that are just very rules driven and legally driven inside our Fed agencies. And that is good news, folks, for everybody, because there are folks in MAGA world, in the GOP congressional caucus, and federal employees that are saying, no mas, we are not doing this anymore, and we are not going to put ourselves at jeopardy, and we're going to continue to follow the law, and saying no to DOGE. So what's perplexing to me as I look into DOGE, like, it's still around, apparently. I thought it completely died, but it didn't. There's folks that are supposedly DOGE employees that are asking for things. So interestingly, over the last 6 weeks, several key agencies have said, no, we're not going to give you things. The funniest part is even Kash Patel is like, look, I'm not giving you that stuff. That is against our privacy laws. So that makes me laugh hard. But apparently at the Department of State, the advised workers to Ignore the Request memo went out from their leadership saying, like, no, you don't have to give them any information about private data or Americans' private data. Same at Department of Defense. The Pentagon has said all of these orders have been paused officially and emphasizing their own procedures. Same at Department of Homeland Security and several of our intelligence agencies. So I'm buoyed by the fact for two reasons. One, it's wrong. It's morally wrong, illegal to provide data to DOJ. They shouldn't have gotten all the Social Security data that they had gotten in the first place, right? But it's interesting. They're citing the law frequently in these memos, and they're citing chain of command and security and classification, and on and on. So the broader, if we like really zoom out from this, I think it's another fissure and crack in MAGA. I think we're all aware of the fact now that Marjorie Taylor Greene is her last day is next week, and she has decided to redevelop the America First Project initiative, and she's actually making moves on that front. It shows the infighting within our internal federal agencies. It also shows that there's policy agreements, disagreements. There's, they don't agree on the Epstein files. Most Republicans and MAGA people want that issued. Marjorie Taylor Greene worked with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie to make that happen. And we'll get to the status of that in a minute. And then the tariffs and the economy. There is, honestly, even in MAGA world, Trump's disapproval ratings are ridiculous, particularly over the tariffs, but now the economy is starting to show it. And then foreign policy, this America First, we've bombed, I think there was a report recently, we have bombed 9 countries, B-O-M-B-E-D, like not just a little bit. We've bombed 9 countries in this year. And, the polling data is showing it, that, a clear and vast and super majority of Americans do not think that Trump is doing a good job on the economy, on foreign relations, and other matters. So, I think there's a lot of good news in that. So don't ignore all of these good signs, folks. I think we're in a good place. We also, if we turn our attention to the judiciary, the courts are beginning to defy Trump. I think this is a new good news
Finally,
thing.
Marie, I was so happy to see that our judiciary is growing a spine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're finally figuring out, wow, I might get impeached if I keep going along with it. I think there's just some self-preservation going on here, honestly. I mean, we do have to remember all these people are humans, and we are part of the human condition, and we are survivalists, right? And at its core, a lot of these Republicans that went from being a standard Republican to this odd version of Trumpism are realizing, oh my goodness, I have to live after this, and he is going down for sure. So the most important one, I think, was just this past month in a rare, and I think this is a very significant defeat for the administration. The U.S. Supreme Court issued a 6-3 decision that allowed that refused actually to allow the deployment of National Guard troops to the Chicago area to assist with immigration enforcement. And so this, and now it doesn't mean that they won't repeal again, but that'll take a long time. And so we're temporarily out of the woods with that. That doesn't mean that ICE isn't going to continue, and everybody beware, ICE is continuing to illegally kidnap, hurt, and detain people and sending them to far off places. That is still going on, and we have to be vigilant in the Chicago area because it does work when we shame them, and we're going to keep shaming them. Some other good news judiciary rulings are that these lawsuits against retaliatory actions by the administration are not working. So Letitia James, James Comey, they're throwing. The saying is that a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. So the good news is that neither Letitia nor Jim are ham sandwiches. So that is good news. Other couple of things that are interesting. So do you remember E. Jean Carroll? She is the woman that was sexually molested by Donald Trump and
among
proven.
others. Let's not forget it. Among others.
Yeah. So many others. I mean, the list is in the probably hundreds, honestly, but it's for sure tens. So Trump had asked in November, Trump had asked the Supreme Court to hear his appeal on the second jury decision where E. Jean Carroll's defamation case proved that he was indeed ordered to pay $83 million in damages. And the appeal for the first jury decision was already rejected by our federal appeals court in June. So, and they're inclined to, withhold the standing in every case. So he can keep doing this for all he wants, but I don't think it's going to work. Tariffs and trade powers. This ruling won't be coming out for a series of months, but the good news here is Gorsuch is anti full blank check tariff powers. He made that clear in his questioning of Trump's lawyers and the White House lawyers. He also made it clear, so did Amy Coney Barrett, was clearly not enamored and did not believe that the president's authority to impose sweeping tariffs was in alignment with the 1977 International Emergency Economic Powers Act. So all of these justices were very skeptical, and I don't think that he is going to be able to continue with this, but we're waiting on that one. But the good news is it's showing good signs. There's a third story we should not ignore at all, folks, and this goes back to ICE. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Organization is buying literally tens of millions of dollars worth of new surveillance tools. And they also have tools in development, which is very concerning. So, we already know they're working with Palantir and some of these other companies to use data to find folks. And it is astonishing to me that there's not more of a light on this. So our federal records show that ICE has increased its spending on surveillance technology, and they're going to be spending more than $300 million under Trump for social media monitoring tools, facial recognition software, license plate readers, and services to find where people live and work. This should concern everybody. Now, the good news, we live in Illinois alongside New York, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Washington. They have recently, all of those states and the governors in their states, along with their state legislatures, have cut off ICE's access to their state motor vehicle records, which is one of their primary levers in which they find folks to detain and kidnap. So in Congress right now, there is a coalition of 40 Democrats that are asking other governors to follow. And then what we will do is one of those reversal mechanisms when Democrats get back in power a year from now is set up a federal law that won't allow this to happen in the future. So watch TBD on all of that. But again, stay vigilant against ICE, folks. This final story is just a little bit of a precursor. I think that the U.S.-China relations are really concerning right now as I'm reading more and talking to experts about specific issues that may be happening between China. So, as everybody remembers, we went through this very retaliatory period of tariff one-upping, right? Where we landed on 150 and then it was paused and all of the nonsense. There have been no discussions. I did verify that apparently for all of the Bessent's discussions and Ludnick and Trump saying, oh yeah, we're in constant talks and it's going really well. There are no talks. There's zero communications. And so that is not happening. Economic and trade issues are at the forefront of this. So these two nations are, a bit at war with each other economically, but are temporarily paused and have a ceasefire going. I do think that China is going to continue to buy soybeans elsewhere, which was our major trading venture with them. Yeah. So supply chain and critical minerals are also at risk here. So both countries are working to reduce reliance on other countries for critical supply chains, but China has used its dominance really in a very specific way with rare earth minerals as a leverage. And so this puts us in a precarious position because we need those rare earth minerals as well. And then there's just always Taiwan, right? Tensions over Taiwan remain a huge flashpoint with China, increasing military exercises and rhetoric and talking about reunification, which would be illegal under international law. The U.S. legally provides arms to Taiwan for self-defense, and this practice is really infuriating China right now. So that is kind of amping up too. And then finally, military communications is in a not a great spot. The U.S. Department of Defense, and I refuse to call it war, please note to everyone.
Yep.
U.S. Department of Defense emphasizes deconflictation and de-escalation. Their words, not mine. Those are real words. But the Chinese military has a history of canceling military dialogue in response to perceived offenses, and then limiting reliable crisis communications channels. So I think this is going to amp up that there's going to be less communication between the superpowers. The last thing that I'm worried about is the fentanyl crisis. That is a real thing, and it is primarily coming from China. The U.S. has pressured China to curb the flow of precursor chemicals to process fentanyl in Mexico. But the progress on this issue is zero. And if you recall, President Trump said, "Oh, I'm going to fix this the first month," and there's literally been no
He was
progress.
also going to fix the Russia-Ukraine war the first day in office.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
All
now
of it is
Zelensky,
hilarious.
yeah, Zelensky is coming back to the White House. I don't know, Marie. I mean, how the heck did we? No, I think I do know how we ended up in this situation. We ended up by not paying attention to the people that we elect.
Yeah.
We ended up in this precarious position
Yeah.
by not holding our elected representatives accountable. We ended up in this situation by not focusing on who is funding our elections.
Yeah.
Ended up in this position by just being too comfortable. It is, remember the story about putting a frog in a pot of water and then slowly turning up the heat?
Yep.
We got too darn comfortable with little things that were given to us.
Yeah.
And now that the water is really starting to boil, we are not able to get out of that pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've turned. I do believe, and I am not a Pollyanna by any, but I do believe that we have turned a bit of a corner, and we have the GOP and Congress finally willing to have a spine. That's primarily been our biggest problem, really. And the
Yep.
courts are starting to understand that, wow, there's a life after Trump. So it is important for all the voices on this show and all the ears listening out there and everywhere to keep on keeping on. And I know that's not the exciting thing to say, everybody, but I will say too, that's another corner we've turned. I think Americans have finally realized, wow, there is no silver bullet. We all have to work on this, and we all
Yep.
have to stay vigilant. So I do think there's been an acceptance of, oh no, it's a little bit like, and this is a horrible because I have friends undergoing chemo right now, but you got to take your chemo every week and then keep fighting on every front with, nutrition, exercise, what you do every day, and attitude.
Yeah, so that's the important lesson that I want people to take away from our last show of the year. That yeah, there is life after Trump.
Mhm.
Don't get discouraged, but
Yeah.
do get off your behind and participate. Okay. And this goes very much so for the Democratic Party leadership also. They've become too darn comfortable being so-called leaders, okay? Minority this and minority that, and not really listening to the people on the street. Get off those high horses and come on down and listen to what people are actually saying. We got about 33 minutes. No, got about 30 some minutes left over in the show. And Marie, if you can please hold on also, that would be awesome to have you
Glad
back
to stay.
on that. And Dolly has been waiting patiently in the wings for her take on what the heck happened recently, Dolly. What do you want to get off your chest in this final show?
Hi, everybody. I mean, I have actually a few things. I wanted to first talk about the significant loss that our station has taken today with the loss of Kendall Luke. I just wanted to mention that he was actually a really important figure in my life, coming onto WCPT 8:20 a.m. He kind of was like a mentor to me, and I felt very connected to him. He always encouraged me to speak my mind, to be confident in the values that I hold. And that's just something I want to remember him by. And so I guess for today, you know, he's in our thoughts, and I want everyone to remember that, you know, his well-being and his life and the things that he did are not lost on us here at WCPT. So we definitely
he had called me the night that he went to the hospital. And even before that, he called me and said, "Hey, I was at the Frankfurt fair and I saw something that I bought for you. I've got a gift for you." And I was talking with his partner Diane yesterday, and Diane said, "Yep, he has this thing that he bought for you, and it is in his car. I'm going to give it to you." But when I met him on the 25th, he mentioned it also. He said, "I got something for you. You come here to take me home. I've got this thing." It is supposed to be a drawing or something of a radio. I still don't know what it is, but Diane said that it has a lot of historical value, and Ken bought it off of a booth that had historical museum or something, their booth, and they did not know the value of it. And Ken remembered to get it for me. So go ahead, Ali. We all miss him.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna miss him a lot. Caring and kind person who really wanted the best for our station and the best for radio in general. So you know, another note, I wanted to talk about Barry Weiss, the newly appointed editor-in-chief of CBS, and the whole controversy in the decision that she made to pull a segment that was going to be airing on 60 Minutes last Sunday. Have you guys heard about this?
Oh, of course. Yeah. We also saw the segment. Okay. That she wanted to pull.
I honestly, I haven't seen it yet. And I want to watch it, but I wanted to kind of explain a little bit about the history behind that. So there are whispers that the segment that she pulled was a direct backlash to the Trump administration and the deportation policies that have been put in place, as Marie Newman has talked about, and everyone else on the show over the last few months. So the segment, reported by the investigative journalist Sharon Alfonsi, highlighted Venezuelan men and other so-called illegal immigrants that were deported during Trump's frenzied ICE raid. So that happened earlier in the year, and many that are still going on as we speak. So these men were then sent to maximum security prisons in El Salvador, some of the worst penitentiaries in the world. The hope was that the segment would provide the public with some insight into how these prisoners were being treated and their living conditions. And the segment was first screened for CBS journalists on December 12th, but Miss Weiss did not attend that first screening or the 4 others over the next week. She watched a single video of the segment on Thursday night and offered suggestions, which the producers did take into consideration. But by Friday afternoon, 60 Minutes had given CBS management to green light the segment and to go ahead. But on Friday, Ms. Weiss weighed in again, this time with another request. She asked producers to add a last-minute interview with Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. They couldn't get an interview with him, but she continued to double down, further challenging that the report needed more interviews and spectators if the story wasn't ready enough. So thus, the segment was pulled. So obviously, people were rightly outraged and surprised, as 60 Minutes has always kind of been known for its ode to free speech and journalistic autonomy as one of the world's most popular news programs. And it was hardly the first time its staff has gone neck and neck with CBS leadership. People were very confused as to why this specific segment was taken down. And the shocking pull of this segment comes at a time when our country is already in turmoil over Trump and his administration's actions regarding undocumented people in this country. The action of taking this segment down actually proves further that Trump and his administration are trying to silence citizens' right to free speech, especially our broadcasting stations and our journalistic free speech. So Trump and ICE's abuse needs to be revealed and made more and more public to civilians as the days go by. And this is I believe this is the what the segment was meaning to show is Trump and ICE's abuse. And we also need to see what the quality of life is like in these prisons, such as those in El Salvador, so that Americans can realize and kind of come to terms with, for lack of a better term, like the monster who they voted for and they elected into this office. So, Trump is one that separates families, zip ties little kids, sends U.S. citizens to detention centers based on the color of their skin. He undermines democracy and the right to a free press by controlling information and by controlling what comes and goes on our screens. And this pulled segment is a perfect example. Furthermore, Ms. Weiss was appointed on October 6th of this year as the editor-in-chief. And a lot of people say she lacks the experience and understanding of how to communicate with correspondence correctly. And it kind of leads to unpopular decision-making and last-minute changes, such as this one. So I was wondering what you guys thought about this.
Okay, let's get Marie's views on that. And folks, for those of you who are listening, that pulled segment is available on YouTube and other platforms. And what we will do is, I'll see if I can give a link of our website to that segment to highlight it further. Okay, that's where social media comes in. So our website is TLS Radio for the lightningstrikeradio.com. We'll see if we can get a link on that. Marie, go ahead. And we got Carl Moose also joining us. Carl is actually calling in today. So we'll bring Carl in. Carl, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, Carl. So if you don't mind, stay on. Marie, your take on what we have been discussing.
Well, I'm struck by two things, and Dolly, thank you for sharing that, because I think that not everybody understands all those details, and all those details are really important. When I first started digging in on this story, I'm remarked by the first thing, and I'm going to go in reverse order because it is true. Several people said, oh, well, Barry just doesn't have the experience. Well, two subpoints on that. One is, then why did you hire her to be head of a multi-billion-dollar organization that specializes in just that action, that she should be good with talking to journalists? So come on, that's ridiculous. And then secondly, she is capable of doing that. She is whatever, in her 40s or her 50s, and she has been doing this a very, very long time, decades now. So it's ridiculous to say she didn't know how to do this. And secondly, you shouldn't have hired her if she didn't know how to. So there's no good answer in there. But most importantly, I'm just going to ask the question of people that, and I encourage you, I have watched the whole segment as Mohammed has too, and I recommend everybody look at that. But okay, so let's just change this to another scenario. Did we need to get Hitler's side of the story during the Holocaust or after the Holocaust? In the Nuremberg trials, he was dead, obviously, but did we need his side of the story? We needed the side of the story of the people that were engaging in that, certainly. But when it was covered, when the war was being covered during the war and after, did we need to get Hitler's side of it? No, we didn't, because we saw his actions. And further, and then just a final note, they did try 17 times to get anyone in the cabinet plus Trump to come to this thing over a 4-month period. So there was Stephen Miller was invited multiple times. So this nonsense that Barry said, oh, we have to wait till Stephen comes in. Well, CBS invited him multiple. Yeah. So
well, somebody put a stake through his heart, Marie. So,
yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, don't get me started on that. I've never, it's interesting with all these characters is, the golden rule does not work with these people. So what I will say is that I don't wish them any ill will that they don't deserve, but they do deserve ill will.
Thank you so much for putting that way, Marie. We got Carl to come in. Carl is calling in today. He's not joining on Zoom with us. Carl, good morning.
Morning, everybody. How's everybody doing this last broadcast of the year, right? 2025.
Yes, Carl, we're doing good, but we did start off by talking about our common friend, Ken DeLuke, and how Ken will be missed. I know that you worked with Ken extensively, so you got to know him a little bit. Do you want to start off by saying a few things about your interaction with Ken?
Yeah, it's very sad, and Ken and I have known each other for about a year and a half, and obviously, Mohammed, that's how you and I met. Ken introduced us
Yep.
About a year ago, and suggested that I be part of the lightning strike. Ken was just a great guy. We worked together in the solar industry. He worked, helped us build a sales team and an organization. He was always a pleasure to be around. He and I always didn't see eye to eye on things, but we could always agree, to listen to each other and to see each other's point of view. And I know Diane, his lovely wife, and it's just sad, so our prayers go out to Ken and Ken's family, and he will be missed.
Yep. And I was probably the last person that he recognized, Carl, when I went to meet him on Christmas Day. He wanted me to take him home, and I guess he's finally gone home, to meet with his loved ones. And I've got great memories with him. But and again, he introduced you to the Lightning Strike, and thank you so much for being part of the Lightning Strike and supporting the show like you've been doing. And we'll continue that going into 2026. So, Carl, as our scientific correspondent, what have been the big stories of science in 2025 that we can learn from?
Yeah, so I always like to think about the Nobel Peace Prize winners, because the Nobel Peace Prize is given out for peace, for literature, chemistry, physics, and medicine. So there's really 9 laureates that I'd like to talk about quickly today. That were awarded for chemistry, physics, and medicine, right? And as we know, Albert Nobel, who was a Swiss chemist, engineer, inventor, philanthropist, who died almost 130 years ago. He lived, from 1833 to 1896, and he is known not only for the Nobel Peace Prize, but also for the inventor of dynamite, which was a more stable form of nitroglycerin, which could be used constructively, for construction. But it was also used in war. And the reason why he established the Nobel Peace Prize is he felt bad about that and about how his invention was used in destructive ways. So, this year's laureates, for physics are John Clark, Michael Debore, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, and John Martinez for the discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanics, which allows us to do supercomputing on a quantum level. So those are the 3 laureates that won this year in the physics section. For chemistry, it was Susumu Kentagamu, Richard Robson, and also Omar Yagi. And they were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for organic and what was it exactly? It's for the development of metal organic frameworks, which allow us to use chemistry and biology to work in conjunction with each other to solve problems on many, many levels. So just, groundbreaking work. And then finally in medicine, Mary Brunkow, Fred Ramsdell, and Saimu Sakaguchi for their discovery concerning peripheral immune tolerances. And a lot of people don't realize this. If our immune system runs wild, it can actually cannibalize us. So their science has been breakthrough with regard to how our immune system works and how tolerances within our immune system can help us sustain life. So I just wanted to mention those, Nobel Peace Prize winners for chemistry, for medicine, and for physics, because those things trickle down to our day-to-day life, and those are important things to remember.
Hey, Carl, thank you so much for highlighting that. And I'd also like to highlight the fact that our president did not get the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, I got it. I got okay. I got an AI picture of me receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. But jokes aside, folks. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Carl, your input is always valuable. Wishing you and your family and all our listeners and our participants a productive 2026. And the only thing that will make me wish you a happy 2026 is if we can get the House back in the midterms. That is going to be, yeah, that is going to be the gift that I would be looking for. And not only getting the House back, we're going to hold these people accountable. And I want you folks to please take this and take it to the polls with you. Okay, just because someone has been in Congress for umpteen number of years, check out their record. See what bills have they sponsored, have they co-sponsored, what causes have they supported, how well have they represented you, the district represent, that they are representing, not so much the lobbyists, not so much the funders that they have, the APACs and this PAC and that PAC and the corporations that are giving them money. Dig into it, folks. And if you don't have the time to dig into it, we will do the digging for you. Keep on listening to the Lightning Strike. And Murray, go ahead. I need your take on this.
Sure. Folks, there are some great tools now to understand what money your member of Congress, whether they're a senator or a representative, are taking in. The one that is actually more kind of one-stop shopping that's everywhere, because you used to have to go to the FEC, Open
Right.
Secrets, and then these PAC websites, and then do some digging and drill down. So this organization called the Integrity Index, you just Google it, and it'll take you right there. You just dump in the name of your representative or your senator, and they tell you everything. So it comes down to one kind of report, and it will tell you how much money they've received from corporate PACs, how much money they've received from bully PACs like Democratic Majority for Israel and APAC and 314 Science and all of these filter organizations. It will tell you how much they are investing in the stock market and what stocks they're investing in. Because I'll give you a great example. There are 4 members, and they're Democrats and Republicans, of the Financial Services Committee right now that have upwards of 6 million in stock in U.S. banks and financial organizations. And polluters like BlackRock. There are members that call themselves climate hawks right now, and some of them reside in Illinois that call themselves climate hawks, and then they receive literally millions of dollars from big oil. So Mohammed is exactly right, is look at what your congressperson is taking in, and then look at what the legislation they put forward. If they've put together all these incremental, like kind of nothing burger amendments and small bills that do very little on the topic they're supposed to be, whether it's finance or climate or healthcare or whatever, and if they're looking at their integrity index on that website and see if they're taking in a lot of money. And let's be clear, they are. So they only do incremental work legislatively when they're taking in millions of dollars from big oil, big healthcare, big pharma, big banks. It's just really clear. So know what you're getting.
Murray, could you give their website? I'm trying to.
Sure.
go
It's
online.
sorry. It's called, the name of the project is called the Integrity Index, and let me see if I can get everybody
Yeah,
the
because I'm
exact
trying
URL.
to Google it out, and I'm coming up with all kinds of things that Google wants me to look at, except for
Yep.
what I want to look at. Okay.
Hold on.
So
Yeah.
remember, folks, and I keep on repeating this, and I want to end off the year on this. Carl, are you still with us? Okay, so Carl,
Yeah, I'm here.
yeah,
Yep, I'm
Carl,
here.
yeah, Carl is still with us. Carl, I like to say that when we say it is government of the people, by the people, for the people, let us not forget that we are the people, okay? And we have got to step up our game and stop blaming the Democrats and the Republicans. No, these people are our representatives, and it is up to us. It does not matter which party you belong to, folks. You could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, okay? But at the end of the day, you are an American first. We are all Americans first. This is our country. We have got to be responsible for our actions. We cannot just blame others for lack of participation by us. Did you find it, Murray?
I did. So it's really easy, folks. So if you
Okay.
want to find out how much your member of Congress is taking from bully PACs and from corporate PACs or from nefarious folks like CEOs of Palantir or Elon Musk or the like, or want to find out how much they're trading stocks that are problematic, go to integrityindex.us. One more time, integrityindex.us. And I've written an article on my Substack about this, and it tells you all about it and gives you the direct links, but it's integrityindex.us.
And we will try to give a link to that from our website also. I'm looking at the website as we are speaking, and I'm looking at candidates. Okay, I just want to finish off the last few minutes with at least one candidate. Who do we choose?
Oh my gosh. By the way, that they started out with just members of Congress and then members of the Senate. They're adding candidates to those positions as well as we go. So it's a brand new website, and they're now adding on candidates as well as the actually elected officials.
Okay, so I'm looking at Illinois, and let's see what we can find about Bill Foster. Okay, because he's going out now, right? No, he's still there.
He's still there, and he
Okay,
hasn't,
so Bill
he has not
Foster-
chosen to retire that we know.
Yeah, Bill Foster says no corporate PAC money, stock trading ban, close revolving door, overturn citizens. Those are the things that they're looking at. But he raised $3.282 million in 2024, folks. His net assets are 18 million and up. Corporate PACs have donated $562,000. This is such a wealth of information. I want to see if I can go back and find stuff about how much Bill Foster or any of these Congress people, Bill Foster I'm just using as an example over here today, how much were they worth before they came into Congress? And how much have their net worth gone up?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually a good example of that. Not to pick on Marjorie
Okay.
all the time, but it is enjoyable. She started out, her net worth was like $1 million, and now she's like 23 million. So please tell me how that happened. Really, I mean, come on.
And any of these Congress people or senators, remember, folks, if someone is paying for you, they expect something in return from you.
Right. No matter what. I mean, it's just the human psyche, right, folks? Like, let's not play games. We're all adults.
Yep. And so when these people are paid for and bought by these lobbyists and PACs, who are they going to be representing? You and I, who made a $10 donation to their campaign, or someone who gave them $1 million?
Right. Right.
So it's sad to end the year on this note, but at least with social media, we have some way of finding out about this information. Marie, this was so difficult to get in the past. Like you're saying, we had to go through multiple websites, and who has the time for that?
Yeah, nobody, and they make it hard to find out. So the folks that put together this very comprehensive reporting system that was automated, it took them 2 years to do it. But it is so well done because literally, folks, it's easy. You just dump in the name of your congressperson or candidate or your member or your Senate member. And oh my goodness. Now, it doesn't have state legislators, but it does have all federal. And I know their intention next year is to add state. So it is and it literally pulls up everything, and it's very accurate. So they've been double checked by third parties, and it's very accurate. So you can really rely on what they've done.
And by the way, this broadcast is not sponsored by them. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not trying to make a commercial for them, but
I know.
Good resource. Yeah.
But it's in beta stage. At this point, it is integrityindex.us. And I'm looking at our congressman running for Senate now, Raja Krishnamurthy, Illinois 8th District. He raised $10 million, almost $11 million in 2024. Okay. Oh, God. And he's getting an F grade on this website. He's 56.61, number 276 out of 396 reps. He's got net assets of almost $4 million. Where is the money coming from? Okay. Who is it that are paying, 78% are individuals who are paid for him. Okay, that's fine. 11% PACs and 11% other.
Mm-hmm.
91% are large donations from individuals. And I want to dig into those individuals and see how much money they have made. Maria was looking at one of the candidates who are running now on his FEC filings. He's receiving maximum amount of $3,500 from donations from individuals who do not have a job. Okay, so explain that to me. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we do. There is a it's not an excuse, but there is a reason. Is that you know, a lot of people are either retired or they're independently wealthy, and they're cutting those checks from their family office money from their trust. So yeah, they of course they're not. But that goes to what we've been saying all the way along. Is that this few group of donors is dictating and mandating what type of legislation we put forward, which is why between corporate PACs and high-end donors, the reason we don't have healthcare for all, we do not have single payer, the reason we do not have climate legislation, the reason we do not have ending
it's Richard Chu, host of Chu's Views, weekdays from
Okay,
6 to
folks,
8
and
a.m.
on that
here on
note,
WCPT.
I'd like to
We wanna
wish
let you know
everyone
that
a
one of our
happy new
leading
year. We are
progressive voices,
getting
Chicago
off
Mayor
of the
Brandon
show
Johnson,
today,
will be
and
my
join us.
guest
Do
the
join us
first
next
Friday of
week,
each month
same
at
time, same
7:30
place. This is your host,
There are
Mohammed
so
Fahim,
many
signing off.
people who want to understand how decisions are made, and there are many people who want to.
Happy New Year, Mohammed.
Are included.
Happy
in
New
those
Year to you too,
decisions.
man.
Mayor
Take care.
Brandon Johnson, the first Friday of every
You as well, boss.
Chu's Views
Sure.
here on WCPT.